Yeah. So as most of us are going to transition to a new job, how do you build a reputation or credibility with the senior engineers or operators? Because you just graduated, you have your diploma, but you don't have any experience working at a plant or a specific industry. How do you build that credibility the first few months working?
Well, first of all, I would say you've got to be patient because it takes time to build credibility and trust. Okay, but how you do that is by listening, doing the job, learning, demonstrating what you can do. The more times you, and that doesn't mean you can't make a mistake, but there's a right way to make a mistake and a wrong way to make a mistake. If you learn from your mistake and it's an honest mistake and you own up to it, that's great. People will start to trust you. You know, if you try to cover up or you make a major mistake, if somebody gets killed in a plant or something, okay, those are pretty bad. But it's going to take time, so don't expect that you're going to come in and within a month everybody's going to think that you're the senior expert to the living. You know, it might take you 2 years, but you're slowly growing and growing and growing. And one day you come in and all of a sudden everybody seems to trust you for some reason. And, you know, it's because you've built up this track record of, okay, we can trust Quo, he's going to get this job done, okay? Because he's done it 4 or 5 times already. That's it.
Yeah, I'd say that there's a few things early on that you do want to figure out even before you get to that point, which is, so one, it's usually with your direct boss, but what are the expectations? So coming in, day one, week one, whatever it is, what are you supposed to be doing for the next week, the next month, the next 6 months? So some companies you go into will have very structured, your job is to train for the next whatever time period. And then obviously that then sets the goal of kind of like being here, right? You need to do that as the expectation and knock that out of the park to move on to the next responsibilities. Other places will be more slanted to, hey, it's going to be almost all on the job training. And you got to figure out, okay, how do I get trained on the job while I'm supposed to be delivering X, Y, or Z, or it's some combination of the two. So part one is just what's the expectation. The second part I'd say is the norms of the environment that you're in. So back to almost the culture thing, right? Is what are the norms of where you're going? Is it suit and tie every day? Is it Brad every day? Is it right? So what are the norms? What's the normal start and end time? Is it acceptable to come in at 8:30, or should it be? Is there a shift exchange at 6:30 or whatever that you really ought to be at, and kind of figure out those just the basic citizenship kind of things in terms of where you're going and what's expected. So you want to certainly just figuring out that stuff very early on helps set you up for, okay, it looks like so-and-so fits in, and as you get to, as Ken described it, getting the work done, figuring out what are you delivering on whatever you're working on, then that sets you up for that. I think Jay mentioned it earlier, the personal relationships you build with the folks around you there certainly impact how are you viewed, and in terms of depending on what environment you're going into, you may want to think about if you're going to perhaps a more rural environment and everything's about football or NASCAR, you may want to think about if you're not currently literate in those areas, you may want to at least, you don't watch an entire NASCAR race, but you may want to know who won yesterday. Or on Sunday, right. So, so there's those kind of, not that you have to change who you are, but certainly things you can do to fit in a little bit help, and then kind of build that rapport with folks that they will invest in you, because early on, honestly, you're an investment to that company, right? So they have to invest in you, the on-the-job training, the resources, the paying you for a year before you actually deliver something or whatever. And the individuals who are working there, I think as Ken said, the 20, 30-year folks who have been, you will have folks who are sitting in a production environment. Someone's been operating that piece of equipment or that process for 20 years, every day. And they've seen your role maybe turn over 10, 15 times in those 20 years. New face, get trained, move on, new face, get trained, move on. Believe me, they will know very quickly how much personal investment they are going to make in you, depending on the interactions they have, right? So they will be, that's kind of back to that hazing thing, right? It's not necessarily hazing, but it's the reality of how much personal investment am I going to make, and is the person who I'm giving that investment to going to receive it and do well for the company, or do I figure out real quick, hey, it's not worth talking to this individual, I'm going to do the bare minimum, yes or no answers, whatever, to get you out of here. You come to see me, ask me questions, and how quickly could I get you moving the other way is reality. So you got the better rapport you can have with folks at all levels, the better off you'll do in whatever you're trying to do. So that's
Another thing to add is, just keep in mind what Frank was talking, is if you want to gain the respect of these other people, you have to show them respect. It goes both ways. And I don't care whether it's a non-college degree technician at a plant or the senior technical person. You got to show them respect. Like Frank said, that high school graduate technician that might be in the plant may have worked on that equipment for 30 years. In my mind, that guy got a PhD in running that piece of equipment, okay? He knows everything about that piece of equipment. Respect that. And you'll find out that they'll return that respect to you
So,
pretty quickly.
how to do that is figure out where they have lunch. You know, think about the people you're working with and who these senior people are. You want to gain credibility in their minds. So just observe when people get into work, they go get coffee right away. You know, just have some interactions with them to the point where you can knock on their door or come into their space, whatever it is, and just kind of say, hey, you got 5 minutes. Come to them with something that you've been thinking about and just ask them what they think. People love to be asked about things they know about, so that's why I like being on panels. But just come in and ask them things, and it will show that you're thinking, you're working, you're trying to figure something out, but you know you can't do it yourself. You're not some star that just walked into the place. You know you need to work with other people, and join them at their lunch table, or have the first cup of coffee in the morning with them every once in a while, or make a point to pop into their office and ask if they've got 5 or 10 minutes once a week, or once every 2 weeks, or once a month, or something like that. And just, allow them to get to know you, you get to know them on a variety of levels. But really, in terms of credibility in your profession or in your career, show that you're curious, show that you've been thoughtful, show that you've been putting some good work into something, and ask for their advice to kind of, are you on the right track, or maybe they'll give you some ideas around other paths to get there, and that's going to go really far for you.
The biggest thing is just be inquisitive and ask questions and show that you have the drive to learn and build up your knowledge as to what you need to do there. One thing you want to try and avoid is asking too many questions or taking up too much of somebody's time. So you want to get the information you need, show that you're interested in it, and try and attack the problem on your own. The more independence you kind of show in whatever projects or problems you're moving forward on, that's going to start building up a lot more respect. So the fact that you're getting information, you're learning, because everybody knows the new engineer needs help, and then tackling things independently after gathering some information, that's going to get you really far. And then get on the good side of the hourly employees. That's probably number one, because they will, if they do not respect you, that will break you down faster than an issue with management.
And be genuine about it.
Yes.
It's not just, I know I gotta be nice to you.
Yeah, be very genuine about it. Talk to them about your experiences. Why does this reactor always make this noise and smell like this? Get that kind of information. They really like the fact that the engineers solicit them and involve them in resolving issues that may have been there for 20 years and nobody's done anything about it, and now you fixed it, and you'll be the superhero.